Welcome to the webinar of the Money, Mayhem, and Mystery. We're going to do smart choices for smart women for NAWIC. And we are going to use the chat feature. If you're listening to this live and not the recording, you'll be able to chat in the chat for any questions or comments, and I'll attempt to answer them either along the way or at the end. And I will have my contact information on the last screen so that if you have more questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. You can email and or call me. So let's dive right in. What we're going to go through on the webinar today for you is, something about those who are just starting out. If you're younger and just now trying to figure out your finances, making a budget, we'll go through some of that. And then a little bit of the advanced planning that my team and I do and other advisors, and some things that you should think about, like, for instance, wealth enhancement. What does that mean? It means pretty much trying only to spend as much or pay Uncle Sam just enough, his fair share, and you get to be able to save more. So being very tax efficient. And the more tax efficient you are, the more you can grow your wealth and be able to spend more later in life. We'll talk about wealth transfer. If something happens to you, are all your assets labeled in such a way that you'll be able to make sure that your beneficiaries, the people you care about, or the organizations that you care about receive your assets? We also have some charitable giving thoughts. A lot of the people around here are very philanthropic, so we'll make sure that we talk a little bit about that. And wealth protection. So if you happen to be in a lawsuit and somebody is trying to get either from insurance some pain and suffering, that you don't have some assets unjustly taken from you. So let's make sure that we talk about that as well. And all along this webinar, we'll talk about making sure that you are being surrounded by experienced and knowledgeable people. You need to give yourself permission to reach out and get help. A lot of times women, men too, but a lot of times women are wanting to do it themselves. They think they can't really reach out to get help. So give yourself permission to find someone really knowledgeable and surround yourself with those who can really help you excel. And speaking of women excelling, more women than men are building and even inheriting wealth. So it's even more important for us as a community to know and understand all the tools that we have available to protect ourselves, to protect our families, and to grow. Now, this was according to March of 2010 Financial Planning magazine, that we're inheriting and getting more wealth. And as I've seen the numbers, it's even more increasing. So I applaud all of you for everything that you are doing. And as women, a lot of times we're trying to take care of our families, whether it's like myself, it's just my husband in the house, spouses, kids, and then you're running off to work and trying to make sure that work is going well and putting in all the hours that takes. I applaud you for taking this moment to take care of yourself. We need to make sure that we take a moment, put on our own oxygen mask, and take care of ourselves. One of the things in finance that women tend not to do is save enough for themselves for the future. And they also don't put the right kind of risk management, like for long-term care. A lot of times we need to have a little extra money for when we are little old ladies, and we don't do that. So I encourage you to make a little list of those kinds of things, or ask us and we'll help you in making sure that you're taking care of yourself, putting the oxygen mask on first so that you can take care of others. The other thing to think about as far as tools are concerned, I heard this a long time ago, and you might have heard it also. This lady chopping wood, right? If you just chop wood all day and never stop and hone that axe, the picture here shows a cord of wood back behind her, and she's just chopping and chopping all day, doesn't get as much done as if maybe you go ahead and take the moment to sharpen that axe all throughout the day. And that's kind of what we're doing right now, is making sure that you are taking care of you, taking a moment to take care of the finances, to have a better and even more easy future. Make sense? No, so who is Christy Stabe? That's me. And why would you want to listen to me on this webinar? And what can I offer? Well, my history is I grew up very poor. I was poor on the ranch. And in fact, we had to plant our own food, um, in the garden to eat. And we actually had to hunt for our own meat. And while that was adventuresome, it was also tiresome. And there was one week where we had no plumbing in the house, and it wasn't going to get fixed anytime soon because we were so poor. And I had to go out to the outhouse. And let me tell you, this outhouse was a leaning tower of stink. And the night that I had to go out, it had just had fresh snow on it. And I remember my breath freezing in the air when I had to go out to this thing. And I thought to myself, why are there people on this planet who have plenty of money and we don't? Why is that? So I decided to learn. And what I did is I read books. I interviewed people who I thought were somebody I would like to be like. And believe me, if there's somebody in your organization, somebody in the community who you're wanting to be like them, you might find if you reach out to them, call them, email them, and ask them if you can interview them and how they did it, you'd be surprised that they might say yes. The people that I got to interview as a poor kid was amazing. And I did what they suggested to do. I saved the 10%. In this book called Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill actually interviews someone who made a lot of money during the Great Depression, where most people couldn't even get a job. It's a really good book. I suggest you get that one and The Richest Man in Babylon. Very fast, easy read. I actually read that one once a year. And it's something that book you could give to your teenagers or people in your family. It really has some very good, simple rules and techniques for you to just be debt-free and taking care of yourself. So I embarked on this to learn how to take care of myself and not be poor anymore. And then I met the man of my dreams. I got married, traveling around the world, doing business, growing. My husband was wonderful. We were best friends. And we were scuba diving in Mexico when he drowned suddenly when I was 37 years old. And that really turned my life upside down. And I didn't even want to be here. And so out of that transition, I had a transformation because I had to go to counselors and to widow groups. And I realized from sitting with them in their newfound predicament that I was actually helping them with my financial knowledge. So that's when I became a financial advisor. In 2003, I got my license. I started studying, and I've opened up my own wealth management firm so that I can help others. And in fact, I went out and interviewed lots of widows, people who support widows. I've interviewed women who are successful in business like me, and bankers and other people who support women who own businesses. And I've written a book, and it's called Navigating the Unique Financial Needs of Women Today. Now, you're going to receive from NAWIC an email with a URL in it where there's going to be 10 people, just 10 people who can get the Kindle version of this. Nothing special, really, but it has all the information in there, and it's free. And if you will email me, like this slide says, just go ahead and email me or NAWIC, and we can give you the PDF version. I'm not trying to sell anything here. I'd like to get the information out there. There's 8 unique things that widows go through, 5 for women in business in those chapters. And at the very end of the book, I have some checklists for widows to go through. Like the first week, what do you do? When my husband died, I knew to call Social Security, but that was it. So I didn't know what to do then. And I know now you can get on the internet and probably get a nice list, but I have one here that even divorcees could use. But specifically for widows, people kind of forget to look for things that have value, like airline miles, things like that are in that list. So if you know someone who's just become a widow or divorced, please do give them, email them the PDF or show it on Amazon. I'm glad to forward it to anybody for free. So again, when you get that URL, the first 10 people get the ebook. Otherwise, go ahead and give me an email and I'll give you the PDF. And if you really want the paperback, you can go ahead and get on Amazon. And I do hope that that is helpful for you guys. Now, the money. Let's talk about money. In the US, probably most of you have a leg up from everybody else because you know and understand the currency. You grow up with it. A lot of my Asian clients are some of the best planners, but they didn't, some of them know English, they had to learn English, and some of them didn't even know the currency. So their learning curve was great. Yours is already there. It's very easy for you to take what you're already knowing and build upon it to make that future that you love. Now that mayhem is your daily habits. And mayhem, what the definition is the needless or willful damage or violence. So who needs any of that in their life? What we're talking about for you is your actions, making them consistent with the future that you are thinking about. And what do you think about? This is important. Do you think about a future that's easy, fun, you have plenty of money, you're surrounded by knowledgeable people? Or are you thinking something differently? Are you thinking, finances are hard. I hate talking about finances. I can't even talk to my spouse or partner about them. It's what that thinking is. And you know that old saying, garbage in, garbage out? We need to ask the right questions. I'm squirming because I'm thinking about just last week, I was and am still trying to shed some pounds, right? And I found myself thinking, God, why can't I lose any weight? Why am I so fat? And I realized I was doing that garbage in. My computer brain said, oh, you want me to answer the question, why am I so fat and why don't I lose any weight? Well, the answer is, well, you eat too much pizza and you don't exercise, or whatever the answer is. So notice the questions that you're asking, either yourself or even your family members, people at work. Let's switch those around to be positive. So now I get up and I say, what can I do today to exercise and eat right? And then my computer brain will bring me the right answer. I'm sure you guys see what I mean. So especially around finances, what can I do to make this fun and easy? Who can I call to support me to make sure I have my budget correct or have my paperwork done? So I encourage you to, all throughout this webinar, think about, are you thinking this is too hard? Or, wow, I'm going to make this fun and easy. A lot of people, and when they're looking around their finances, it's really about taking care of themselves. Do I have a roof? Do I have food? But also taking care of their heirs. So let's take just a moment right now, and we're going to think about what might happen if we die. And it doesn't matter if you're right out of high school and just starting to work and just starting to save and don't have much, or if you have a business and you have a lot of assets. What do we have set up if I die tomorrow? And then, because most of us will probably be around and will retire, I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So let's talk about what happens if you die and you don't have a will or a trust. You go through probate. So what is probate? Well, if you don't have a will or a trust, paperwork that says what your wishes are, then what's going to happen is that the state law, the judge will look at the state laws and divvy up your stuff as the state sees fit. Now, don't think that some people have said to me, oh, the state's going to take my property. No, that's not what happens. They do try to find out who it belongs to. They're not going to take it from you. But you do want to leave the people you love and or care for or organizations something in the will so that when the judge looks at it, they will say, this is legitimate. Notice in my second sentence here is that they can also deem that the will is invalid. And here again, I'm encouraging you to find someone who knows about wills, that's what they work with, and that they make sure yours is with the registered with the state and done correctly. Because if you don't have it done correctly, now you are having to go through probate and having them divvy up, that judge who doesn't know you or your family, divvying up your stuff. So a simple will, even if you just have a couple $100 in your savings account and a car, it's important to go ahead and just do that, because what happens if you inherit some money, you start making bonuses, you buy another car, you're going to say, oh, I'll do that will later. If you already have it in place, that's going to be the first step. So please do that. And if you haven't done it already, put it on a list to do, to find out who to help you with by, let's say, December 15th, or 30 days from whenever you're watching the webinar. That way you're in action and living into a future that you love, taking care of other people and the assets that you've amassed. Now, a will is not a trust, and I'll tell you what the will is in a second, and make sure that you've put the will through the state so that it is legitimate. Some states allow you to just write one up. In Colorado, you can just write it up and have it in the safe. So just know what it is in your state. And really, a will definition is you writing down what assets you want to go to what people. And, you know, the main purpose of it, again, is to not have the judge say where all the assets go. It still has to go through probate. So if you do have a will, there is an attorney that will have to be hired, and the judge will say, yes, this will is good, and we will divvy up these things. So there's some time involved with the people who are going to inherit your things, and some money that goes to a lawyer. Now, California, a lot of times, that can be, with a good will, 6 months to a year and even longer. In the state of Texas, that can be 3 months to 6 months. So it's not fun and easy for the people that you're leaving behind. Now, what's a better solution than just a will? If you do have more things, and even if you're just starting out, you could make sure that you have a lot of your assets in things that just skip probate altogether. And some of that could be pension plans, life insurance, annuities. And these are the kinds of things that financial advisors, wealth managers can help you make sure that you have all the things that you are owning and amassing properly paperworked, so that when you pass away, it goes directly to them and does not go through probate, and it doesn't become public. When it goes through probate, people can research that and find out what the heirs inherited. So if privacy is an issue for you and your family, do make sure that you've hired someone to get their proper paperwork. Now, again, I don't make that paperwork. I'm a wealth manager, but I know people in many different states, estate planning attorneys, tax attorneys, that I could show you who you should talk to and or what kind of questions you should ask to hire the right expert. Other things that skip probate is like your 401k plan, IRAs like Roth, SEP, Simple. These things that I just named have designated beneficiaries on it. And I'm going to encourage you that at least once a year, you look at who you have on your beneficiary form. So go onto your 401k and do it on your birthday, or do it at the beginning of the year. But once a year, go ahead and look at that, because what could happen? The computer could burp. And I mean, you've never had that happen, right? So they might get erased or changed. And sometimes it just might be that life has changed. You have a new baby in the family, or something, a divorce, something happens. So once a year, and this is something that I do for my clients, is a beneficiary check once a year. So these things can help you skip probate and make sure that things are in your name as well, not just the spouse's. Now, an affiliate of mine, AES Nation, asked about 513 business owners, do they have an estate plan? And a majority of them said yes. About 26% said no. Now, individuals, I have found, are slightly larger on the no aspect. They do not have an estate plan. And what is an estate plan? It's having that will done, or a trust, having that paperwork done. When you're dead, where does everything go? Now, what's interesting is when we asked, well, why is there no estate plan done? Well, a lot of people think that there is no need. I only have a small checking account and a car. Well, go ahead and do that, Will. Some say that the topic is too hard to deal with. And again, if you hire someone like myself to explain it and make it easy, that can eliminate a big part of this too hard to deal with. It really is simple. Some of them say it's too expensive. Well, think about it, how expensive it is when you have to hire an attorney, and if somebody is contesting, meaning no, I own it, and you're like, no, I own it, that gets very expensive. And I just helped a client who went through probate, and it was 2 weeks. We were in the courtroom for 2 weeks. Can you take off work for 2 weeks? So these people who have said that they don't have enough time to get it done, no, please take a moment to get it done. More than likely, you can visit with an estate planning attorney and get it done within 4 to 5 hours, all the questions answered, the kind that you're going to get, and it not be too darned expensive. So that's very important to note on this Why No Estate Plan. Let's get rid of all those excuses and let's get it done and or updated. And in fact, let me tell you a story about a client who came to me, somebody who became a client. She was a widow. Her husband was a doctor. He was out jogging and had a heart attack and actually died. They took him to the hospital and they revived him. Now, he was brain dead, but he was still alive. And most of this estate planning tools are what happens if you die. So one of the important things to have, especially with a spouse or a partner, or even your children once they're 18, is to have something called a durable power of attorney. If you don't, you might be like this new client that I got, where she had no way to sell the house. It was in his name. She had no rights to it until he died. And there's a long story to that, but that's essentially what happens. She didn't have access to the checking account because her name wasn't on there. And the revenue that was coming in from his business as a doctor, she couldn't have access to. A simple power of attorney, durable power of attorney, would have gained her access to that. An estate planning attorney, if you sit down with them, they'll probably go through several things that you want to make sure that you have, like the medical wishes. So if you're on site or in a car wreck and you are having to be on life support after the accident, your medical wishes are signed by you and they know what to do. You don't make your family have to decide for you. And sometimes there isn't somebody of authority who can make that decision. So very easily, that power of attorney, durable power of attorney, best medical wishes, have those looked at often because HIPAA and the laws change. So probably every 5 years, make sure that those are updated. Nothing is more frustrating than an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old who is in college and has an accident and is unconscious for a day or two, and you have no way as a mom or dad to be able to give instructions on how to care at the hospital. Yes, you can give that shot. No, you can't. You can't do that after they're 18. So beware of that. And make sure as you're going forward in your life that the things that you're getting, especially if you're married with someone, that it's in your name as well. And business owners, if you're a partnership, make sure that things are labeled properly and that your name is on it. For instance, if you're wanting to start a business, let's say, and there's a house and a car and some land, but it's all in the husband's name, the banks tend to not lend to you because you have no collateral. Well, there's other things that protect you along the way that you just want to make sure that your name is on the assets as well. And I'd even encourage you to have them on all the utilities if you don't. So if you're sharing with a partner, make sure to do that. Now, the mystery of saving. Let's talk about saving for the future. Now we're going to live and we're going to retire later. This really worked out for me. I could really understand this when I was younger, and it worked for me on saving quite a bit for my future. And what it was is looking at a checkerboard. And on the checkerboard, what we're going to do is start at the very beginning, and we're going to start with the denomination of money. Let's say $1. And the next checkerboard is going to be a doubling of that. So 2, and then 4, etc. So I have an example here. It happens to be $100. We're going to start with $100, and it's going to double to 2. So what does it mean to double? Well, that could be that you're saving a little bit each month, and that helps it double. It could be that you're saving and it's invested, and the interest helps it double. Well, interest these days, probably not. But if you invest it into a brokerage account, etc., it can help double. So that's why the money is doubling. And so we can see here, as we go along on the 16th square in my example, we have $3,200,000. So what if we're saving and investing, but we really want a $100 item? You've got to have that purse. You've got to have those shoes, let's just say. So now in the 4th double, we only have $700 to double. And now you'll see at the 16th square, we only have $2,800,000. I bring this up to just show you if we can have free fun, spend less when we're younger, save more when we're younger, we will have more when we're older. So let's just say we're going to take and buy that same item in our 9th double. That same item now, because it's a little bit later, costs $150. I'm making this up. I'm just saying, hey, it might cost more because of inflation, right? So if we look here in our original doubling, we had $25,600 ready to double to 51. But we bought our item of $150 here early on, and so our doubling next actually does pretty good. It goes to $50,900. So the later we take money out to spend, the more money we'll have again later. So if we took $150 out on these last couple of squares, that doubling will still do really well. And this is what worked for me. And I sat around with my girlfriends, hey, let's do free fun. What can we do for free fun? Or let's try to go to a restaurant and each of us only spend $3. So it made it fun and easy to save early on. Now, if you're older or if you're younger and you're like, I just don't have anything to save yet. Well, remember, as you're getting older and you're going to school, you're going to trade school, you're asking your boss, what can I do to be more valuable to you so that I can get a raise later? On a daily basis, I'm trying to figure out how can I be more valuable to my clients? So if you're a business owner, what else can we do to make sure that our value is increasing and we can make more money? So as you get older, more than likely, you'll be making more money and you'll have the better ability to save. So you just have to make sure that you save a larger chunk if you're starting a little bit later. Yes, that makes sense. And the reason why we're doing this is for the people that we love. And it is so important. We need to know our budget. We need to visit with our partner, whether that's business or in personal life. Let's visit with them on a quarterly basis. Make it a date night. Really know and understand your finances. Even if the other person is taking care of all of them, let's visit often. I take care of all the finances in our household, but I visit with my husband often. And we celebrate the things that are going well. And we acknowledge the things that aren't going very well. And what can we do about them? We don't make each other wrong. We always try to look at what's positive and how we're going to live into the future that we love. Now, this is so important. You really, really don't want to do this in such a way that is, well, halfway, right? No. Let's look at a case study, all right? So we have a small construction company that is owned by 2 people, and they have 4 employees. And this couple wants to be able to save as much money as they can for their future, kind of like what I just talked about. And they also want to take care of their employees. They want to make sure that they are enjoying their job and being able to save for their future. And this is one of those things where I'm going to remind you to get an expert who understands this specifically to help you decide what can you do. Because if you just do a 401k, you can only save so much and get so much tax savings. But if you're able to, and you can save more money And it doesn't have to be what's in this example, but knowing how you can save more for later is going to help. And again, if Uncle Sam doesn't take much, you can invest it and make more money. So the tax efficiency is very important. And I can help with this kind of a thing if anybody is curious. I'm not going to go into each of the details because it can be cumbersome, boring. You guys will go to sleep for sure. And it really is on an individual basis. So if you're interested in something like this, just let me know and we'll make sure that we get an expert to help you out. Another fun case study is a younger person, probably somebody under 70 years old can probably do what I'm about to show you next. And again, this is an example of being able to know someone who understands these tools deeply. So this person is thinking that she's going to sell her company later or pass away, and she wants the estate taxes paid for. So we're going to talk about premium financed life insurance. And these are just examples. It doesn't have to be 10 million, but as an example, here she's going to do $10 million in life insurance. And typically what that means, if you were just to get life insurance, she's going to pay $92,000 a year for life. That's a lot of money. And what we could do is this new tool called the Premium Financed Alternative. And she's going to borrow $2.6 million over 5 years. But the catch here is she's only going to pay the interest on the loan. She only pays the interest on the loan. So in my example, it's $78,000 for 15 years, and that's it. So as a tool for premium financed insurance, after 15 years, the insurance is self-supporting, so you don't have to have a premium anymore. And that loan is paid off, so you don't have to worry about a loan anymore. And the best thing is there's cash inside there. So in my example, there's about $2 million. And what we can do now is if she's not needing that 10 million as she's older, we can probably use this for some passive income. After about 20 years since we started with this kind of a life insurance policy, now we can take out $230,000, and that is tax-free. Uncle Sam does not get very much money out of this at all. And if you did this like through a 401k or other kind of IRA product, when you pull money out, that's taxable. So if you're getting Social Security income and your 401k, it could be that your Social Security is taxed as well. So you're going to be living off of, in this example, $230,000 is tax-free. If that was out of a 401k and you had the Social Security, you might be living off of more like 198, 170. That's it. So tax efficiency really helps. Knowing these tools really helps. So in your thinking and how this is working, let's talk about some actions you could do. Well, you could start a peer group. Perhaps you work well with being accountable to other people. That's something that really worked for me. You could enhance or write your financial plan. You just make it up. And in fact, I'm going to give you a tool at the end that will help you with this if you need it. And it's no charge. Kimberly wanted to make sure that you as a member of NAWIC is getting even more value of being a member here. So we're going to give that to you for free. You could hire someone like me. It doesn't have to be me, but hire someone, get someone to help you out, spend a little bit of money and allow them to really support and help you and define that future that you're going to love living into. You can even get a library book or buy a book about finance, like The Richest Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, that really helped me. Or you can get my book for free. You're welcome to email and call me. I will be glad to help you and your family. There's no charge at the beginning. And if there's something that I can do that can be of value to you, then we'll talk about it then. You can also have a stress test done. So if you're a business owner, a president of the company, a middle worker, or just starting out, you could have a stress test done if you already have a plan in place. How well does that plan do when we're about to go through a recession? Probably in the next 12 to 24 months, it's just cycle of what we have to go through. And when we're going to go through that, how is your plan going to work? And being prepared for it doesn't have you be shocked, doesn't have you be sad, and will have you live through it with much better emotion. You can take a nice deep breath and go, we were thinking about this. I'm sure there's other things that we could think of as well, but the tool that I was going to tell you about here, and I'm going to leave this on at the very end. So if you're trying to get down this URL, if you go to this URL, you're going to find my robo-advisor. I named her Stella. And Stella's going to help with the financial plan that you put together. You never have to talk to me if you don't want to. And you'll put in the numbers that you want. And if you love it and you want to have Stella also help with some very low cost portfolio management, you can put some money into that as well if you would like. But the financial plan, no charge to you guys. And Stella is fun to work with. So I encourage you to utilize this tool if you would like. So let me end with a story about my granddaughter, who at the time was a first grader, and she was living with us. And she had some homework, and I was helping with her a little bit about it. And she had to draw up some animals. And what would they do if they got scared or affronted? And I kind of bring this up because we're talking about finances, and sometimes people get scared about all this advanced planning and portfolios and budgets. So what would a lion do if he's going to be scared or affronted? And she wrote down, he roars and grrr. And then she wrote down jellyfish, bird, and a turtle. So what did the jellyfish, bird, and turtle do when they're affronted and scared? Well, the jellyfish will sting everyone. The bird will fly away. And, well, the turtle, he hides in his shell. And I came downstairs one time, and she had written butterfly. And it was there for a day or two. And I wondered, what is she going to say about the butterfly when it's scared and affronted? And when I came in, she had written, be beautiful. So as you are working through your day today and you're scared or affronted or having a bad emotion, remember to be the butterfly, be beautiful. So I have here the URL, lplguidedwealth.com/advisor/Stella. Here's my email if you'd like to get my book in a PDF form for free. And here's my silversalewealthadvisors.com. You can read about our team, anything else that we might be able to help you as a NAWIC member. Just know that we are giving you guys some stuff for free because you are the members there. I am looking at the text box, and if anybody has some additional questions, if you're on this live webinar right now, you can type in a question. And I know that sometimes questions are about personal things, so I might not be able to answer one individual thing, but if you have something you're thinking about that most everybody might be wanting to ask but are afraid to, go ahead and I'll give you a second to type it up. And otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up and try to be a butterfly for the rest of the day. I thank you guys. I don't see any questions here. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Go out, be well, be a butterfly. Thanks.